Welcome to the Get Published podcast, sponsored by Brodie Consulting Group. To get more information about our coaching, publishing, executive ghostwriting, and podcast production services, go to getpublishedpodcast.com. Hello, I am Paul Brodie, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Get Published podcast, where we help authors get published with a proven system that works. And today, we're being joined by Kaywanda Lamb, author of Do It Anyway, the Single Mom's Guide to Living Life and Achieving Her Goals. Kaywanda, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Well, we are thrilled to have you. Are you ready to begin?
Absolutely.
All right. Question number one. What is the one piece of advice that you would give to a first-time author who is currently writing their book?
Well, I would say know who your audience is, know who your reader is, because the worst thing to do is to write that great American novel and then nobody buys it. So we have to not only get the beautiful work outside of us onto paper, we also need to make sure people know it exists. So figure out who your audience is and know how you're going to target them.
And what do you feel is the hardest part about getting published?
Okay, so I self-published, and I did look into avenues about getting published from a traditional publisher. And the hardest part is just being that known celebrity that they're going to say, hey, we know we're going to get our money back from investing in you. And I think it's just really, it's a game of, making sure you have the right query, you get to the right agent, and you have that piece of work that's just going to set the world on fire. And if you can't find people that believe in it like you do, because we all believe ours is the best, then I chose the self-publishing route. So I looked into it for about a year, and I was like, let me do it myself first. And then later on, when I am that name that, publishers are going to come to me for, we'll do it the traditional route.
Well, let's talk about marketing. So please share a marketing strategy that you have used in your book launches that has worked well.
You know what? One of the things that I did with my first book is I always offered something in addition to the book. And so that could be 30 minutes with me. That could be coaching. I always included a free gift. I always told them that they were going to get something extra. And one cool thing that I always do in my books, and I've done it even with the last book that I created, is I put additional content in there that I haven't previously told them about, because I want them to, really take their learning, their transformation to the next level. So I would say, think about, again, who your intended reader is and what would totally surprise them, excite them, and make them avid readers and avid fans and returning customers, So think about what that would be.
Well, speaking of books, I'd like to know what is your favorite book and what was the number one thing that you learned from it?
Wow, man. I mean, this is a tough question. Can anybody ever really just say one book? Right now, what comes to mind, besides the Bible, I'm a big Jesus girl, but what comes to mind is Instinct by Pastor T.D. Jakes, Bishop T.D. Jakes. And I remember when I was reading that book, it was kind of in the season when I was writing my first book. And it was a page turner. And what I realized is he was telling me that I was transitioning from this person who was a worker. I was an educator for 13 years in a classroom, and I was getting my wings to becoming this entrepreneur, and that it was okay. And so when I walked away from that book, I knew that I didn't walk away from the classroom immediately, but I knew that I was going to survive, because what was now happening inside of me that I wanted to share with the world was worthy. And so I don't know, I just got that feeling reading that book. It was a constant page turner, and it's called Instinct. And just the analogies that he used in that book, he's such a great preacher and just a very intelligent man. And the way he's able to connect stories with real life, it was just a great read. And so I would say Instinct.
And for a final question, what is your favorite quote and why?
Well, it's my quote. It is "Do it anyway." It's my favorite quote because as a single mom raising two boys for the last 18, 20 years, I realized that no one cared. If I was feeling bad and couldn't get up and go to work the next day, I had a family to take care of, and I had to figure out how how can I make it through whatever the tough seasons were, the challenging times were. I had to find it within me to just do it anyway. And so much about us being single moms is we put our kids first and we put other people first. And so I do believe in self-care and pulling back and taking time for us. But sometimes there are just those moments where we need to say, you know what? Something's telling me to stop, something's telling me to quit, but I'm going to go forward. I'm going to do it anyway. And it's been working. So that's my favorite one.
Kaywanda, I want to thank you for being a guest on the show. What is the best way for people to find you online?
Listen, everywhere online. My website is kaywandalamb.com. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at kaywandalamb.com.
Kaywanda, thank you once again for being on the show, and I wish you all the best in your author journey ahead.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks again for joining us today. To learn more about how to get your book published with a proven system that works, grab a free copy of my book at getpublishedpodcast.com.